What is really hood, guys? Coming to you from a little bit of a different spot here. I'm walking my dog Nuggies. You guys know Nuggie on the channel. I'm walking him. I look like shit right now because I haven't done anything this morning yet to get ready. But I'm just chilling. And I wanted to make a What's Really Hood because I kind of thought about something. When you guys were growing up, were there systems that you didn't even know about? And I got this idea because I was watching My Retro Life, and he was talking about his journey with, Game Boy, and then he got himself a Virtual Boy from his dad, and basically they bought it for super cheap, like $27 back then, and a whole bunch of games, all the games and stuff like that, and it was all really cheap because places were just getting rid of them. But when I was growing up, so we got things, I believe, in this order. I got an NES. We never had Atari or anything like that. And a Commodore and television, nothing like that. We got the NES. And then we got the Super Nintendo. And then the Sega Genesis. And then PS1. And then PS2. And then I got, during the PS2 era, I bought myself I believe it was a used GameCube. And then the rest is history, pretty much. I think I went all the way to 360 at that point. Never had an original Xbox. Definitely knew what it was and everything. But that's kind of like the order in which we got stuff. And I had a Game Boy. I always wanted a Game Gear as a kid, but I never got one because I always thought Game Gear actually looked a lot cooler. I always wanted that. I'm kind of glad in hindsight, though, that I did not get one because of how many batteries it took and all the problems it had. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't have to deal with that when I was a kid. One thing about the Game Boy is it always worked, And little did I know, there was still a ton of good Game Boy games. But I had some pretty good Game Boy stuff. But more of the point to this video. Did you guys ever, not hear about some of these systems? Because as I told you, my journey of what I got in, what order, there was a lot missing there, wasn't it? You're probably thinking, oh, what about the Sega Master System? Dude, I didn't even know what a Sega Master System was or understood what it was until I was older and I got into YouTube and retro gaming and all that stuff. I didn't even know what that was as a kid. I had no idea. You could have showed me that and I would have been like, what the heck is that? I definitely did not know what a Sega Master System was. I did understand what a Sega Saturn was. I just didn't have one. My neighbor had one, Steve. And I used to go over there, and I remember he used to play stuff, Tomb Raider. He played that a lot. And then I swear there's a Saturn version of WCW versus the World. Or World Tour. Is it World Tour? It's one of those. But he used to play one of those, but I always thought it looked really poor. I know T-Belly had talked to me, and he says that when World Tour came out, it was, really cool. And I left out the N64, by the way. I'm sorry. After the Genesis, I got the N64. My bad. I got my N64 kind of weird. That's why I didn't remember it. I don't even remember how I got it. It just, showed up. So I don't know if my mom got it from somebody from work or something. I have no idea. I sure as hell never had the box or anything. I have no fucking clue. I'll have to ask my brother that. Because we had WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. Maybe my dad bought it. I have no idea, dude. But, because my dad had a 64 at his house, too. But anyway, more to the point, I didn't have a Master System or know what it was. And then the Saturn, I knew what it was a little bit, but I didn't know a lot about it. Or I never even really played it. I don't even remember Steve handing me the controller and, me wanting to play or anything like that. I don't remember anything like that. Sega CD, I didn't even know was a thing. You know what I mean? Never really experienced that. Nobody had it. Another thing I never knew what it was a TurboGrafx 16. That was one of the systems that when I got into retro gaming, I've always been into retro gaming, but when I got into the whole community, the whole scene, the whole YouTube thing, watching Game Chasers, AVGN, all that stuff, anytime I heard about TurboGrafx, that was one I was really interested in. So before I even started YouTube, I got a TurboGrafx 16 from Classic Game Fest, I believe 2016. And it was the one where Megan, my first convention I ever went to, I bought a TurboGrafx. and I bought it at Classic Game Fest, in Austin, Texas. And and yeah, that was the first time I got it. And I got Keith Courage. And I got Blazing Lasers and stuff like that. So I still have those games. I still got to stream with those games. But as a kid, I had no idea what the heck a TurboGrafx 16 was. You could have showed me that and I would have looked at it like it was from an alien, you know. So I didn't know anything about it. So it's crazy to me sometimes when these people, these YouTubers or whoever in the retro gaming community, when we're talking about stuff like this, they go, oh, I remember getting a TurboGrafx, or I went to my buddy's house. I'm like, what? And then I found out a TurboGrafx was only sold in certain like states, basically certain regions. I'm like, oh, wow, that's why. You know, so I'm in Illinois. So I've always been in Illinois. So I did not hear about it. I don't even know if they had them here. I have no idea. But yeah, those were the two that I didn't even know what they were. It was a Sega Master System and a TurboGrafx 16. I didn't even know that existed. So other than that, I'm trying to think of more stuff that maybe I never heard of. And as for like the Turbo Duo and all that stuff, I mean, a 3DO. I didn't know what that was either. I had no idea, dude, what a 3DO was. You could have showed me that back then. I had no clue. I had no clue that was some super expensive console. And I was like, what? I would not have understood what that was either. Like I said, I went in the order of what I said. And I'll have to ask my brother how we got that N64. That's really weird. We definitely did not open it like on Christmas or something, dude. No. I mean, I would have remembered that because I would have been older. So I have no idea. I definitely have a picture. I'm going to send it to my retro life of me getting my PlayStation 1. That was awesome. I remember PlayStation, we were ready. I mean, PlayStation was a really freaking big deal, dude. But, and then, yeah, PS2 as well. I mean, big deal. My dad never got the Xbox. He never got that. The Xbox was more of like this cutting edge, what I would believe is how the Sega Genesis was. I was too young to experience that hype, like at school and all this stuff, but like the Sega Genesis, you know, people always say cutting edge, and it was the extreme thing to get. And it was, you know, if you were the cool kid, you had the Sega Genesis, you know, and that was the old branding, you know. And so I would imagine that same mentality was the same mentality I experienced in high school with the Xbox. It was like you had the good old PS2, you know, and then you didn't hear anything about the GameCube. The GameCube was like the kiddie console, even though I had one. But people, they didn't come to my house and play that. Nobody was turning on Mario Baseball or Animal Crossing or WarioWare. Mario Kart, maybe a tiny bit, but no. My GameCube just sat there. I played it with Jacob, and that was it. And my girlfriend, Megan, who is now my wife. But yeah, PS2 was that good old, like, don't give up on it console. Like, that's PlayStation 1 was badass. We're getting the PS2. You know what I mean? So Xbox was like that new, like, ooh, what is that? You know what I mean? What the heck is that thing? I remember when Xbox first came out that I heard that the thing was heavy as hell. You know what I mean? I remember that. And it obviously isn't. But I remember going over and Andrew, you guys have heard me talk about Andrew on the channel before. Andrew was the one that got it. And we went over there and played NFL Fever on it. One with Peyton Manning on the cover. And I remember he was the kid that just got the new stuff, you know, the new tech, I'll say. Because I got a lot of the games. I was the one with all the games. Anybody that like wanted games and stuff, it was definitely me. I was definitely spoiled in that aspect. I got the consoles right when they came out. I mean, that was just my dad, dude. My dad was on top of that shit. PS2, that's a whole other story. Found out that was on a Thursday, which makes sense, exactly the way I remember. And we went over to my dad's house, and my dad had 3 PS2s, and one of them was mine. The big blue box, and my dad was playing Madden 2001. I still remember that. And my buddy Andrew came over, and he wanted to see it. So he got off the bus, and he came to me. It was in October. And yeah, I remember us going crazy on Madden, dude. That was a big deal. Those graphics were insane. But, anyway, yeah, what consoles or stories do you want to tell about old consoles? You can go off topic and kind of do what I did. That's kind of what I do on these rants. Sometimes I say things that I'm not even staying on the same subject, you know what I mean? And that's okay. You can do that too. And people that are commenting 3 or 4 or 5 times because you remember stuff, hey, more comments the better. It's fine. No worries. I don't have any kind of problem. You guys can comment as much as you want. Doesn't bother me. I do these videos because I like to read your comments. So no worries there. I know Andrew was asking last video, oh, sorry about all the comments. Like, oh, dude, no worries. But anyway, yeah, what systems did you know about all those consoles? Did you get those consoles? What all consoles did you get when you were a kid? Like, put them in order. You know, did you get them all? Did you only get one of them? Did you only have an NES and then maybe you didn't get another console until like PS2? You know, what'd you get? Because then I also got the top loader because we thought the NES broke, but we just didn't know how to clean it. So we got the NES top loader, and then we got. At one point I had a PS2 Slim too. Tell you what, those PS2s break all the time, dude. The lasers would go out. Oh my God, it was terrible. I swear I had like 4 PS2s throughout the life of it. Same with PS1, dude. I had to have at least 2 or 3. It was bad. I'd have to call my dad and be like, hey, Dad, my freaking console stopped working, dude. And he'd buy another one. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Let me know what you didn't know about. 2 big ones are Master System and TurboGrafx 16. I knew nothing about them. And those would have been 2 cool ones to play, that's for sure. Anyways, guys, hope you have a good weekend. I'll talk to you.